automation and ultimately industrial IoT process automation and cloud-based architecture of industrial automation. So we talk about the IoT. IoT stands for Internet of Things. It is a collection of interconnected physical devices that can measure, monitor, control, report, store, and exchange data. The simple example of IoT is ATM machine. We can move anywhere in the country and do financial transaction. For example, when I am in Delhi, I can withdraw rupees 500 from the ATM machine, and that 500 rupees will automatically be deducted from my account in Nashik. And this is possible only because ATM machines in the country are connected to the computers in the respective banks. Similarly, mobile phones are connected to the internet through NetPack, and that is why we are able to search any information in Google, or we can interact with our friends using WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. And then I gave a very interesting example of connecting bottle to the internet. By connecting bottle to the internet, a housewife at home is able to track the consumption of water by her husband when he is in the office. And that is very simple. As our mobile phones have communication devices attached to them, mobile phone information is sent to your friend. Similarly, weight of the bottle is transferred through the internet to the mobile phone of his wife. Now, in order to make IoT possible, what we require are sensors, actuators, and microcontrollers. Let us study sensors first. Now, sensor is a device which measures physical quantities like location, temperature, humidity, light, movement, and many other. Here you can see some of the pictures of sensors. Here we have temperature and humidity sensor. Then we have pressure sensor. We have light sensor. Similarly, actuators are the devices which act on the environment. Some of the actuators used in IoT are lamp, buzzer, servo motor, stepper motor, then again bigger stepper motor and DC motor. Now next to sensor and actuator, we require microcontroller in IoT. Arduino is very popular microcontroller which is low cost, and then we have very sophisticated microcontroller called as Raspberry Pi. There are many other types of microcontrollers, but these two are open source and very, very popular. Now let us see what kind of devices are connected to the internet in general. Is my voice clear, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should I continue, sir? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, sir. Now you can see the list of devices which are connected to the internet. ATM machine is already connected, smartphone is connected, computer is connected, even robots are connected, drone, a driverless car, petrol pump, machinery, refrigerator, home, television, washing machine, office, bank, train, aeroplane, and even electricity meter. All these are nowadays connected to the internet. So we see that many such devices are connected to the internet, and therefore we get many advantages out of that. The IoT has applications in many sectors like smart home, smart city, building automation, agriculture, dairy farm, transport, retail, healthcare, and manufacturing. Let us start with simple example, that of home automation. Using IoT, we can monitor the energy and water supply consumption in our home. We can use remote control for controlling the devices or appliances like your mixer or could be refrigerator, television, fan, and so on. Moreover, IoT can also be used to provide security. It can detect the intrusion by unexpected person. Then a very interesting example in our home is that of detecting when the gas cylinder is going to become empty. As soon as the gas in the cylinder goes down below certain threshold level, the SMS is sent to the housewife as well as the gas agency. Okay. Now the application of IoT in smart city, I mean, there are many advantages. The one is smart lighting. The IoT enables automatic lighting on and off during different seasons. Then IoT also enables the management of collection of waste in the city. And of course, traffic light management and the smart parking is very important. Like in Nasik city, there is an area called as Ravivar Karanja and Central Bus Station where parking a vehicle is very tedious. So IoT enables a very good application on your mobile phone through which you can locate the nearest empty parking space. Then in industry, logistics is very important and IoT plays important role. When trucks and other vehicles carry raw material to the factory and when products are manufactured, these goods, finished goods are taken back to the market. So quality of shipment is monitored with the help of IoT. So monitoring of vibrations, monitoring of container openings, monitoring of cold chain, and so on is done by IoT. Similarly, a fleet tracking, that is a group of vehicles when they are moving on the road, can also be monitored by IoT. Friends, now let us look at some of the applications of IoT in industry. In industry, IoT is mainly used for quality control. A traditional quality control is reactive. In the sense, we respond only when the machine breaks down. So item is manufactured, it is tested, and defective items are rejected. But IoT makes this process very proactive. So using sensors, complete product data is collected through different stages of the product cycle. And before the item is manufactured, so during that process itself, the step-by-step checking of various attributes are carried out. And as and when some mistake is about to occur, it is corrected. So wastage is dramatically reduced during this quality control using IoT. Moreover, during manufacturing, the data about the equipment itself is also gathered. So it may happen that equipment calibration of the equipment may get disturbed, and IoT helps in correcting that calibration right in time. So wastage of material is automatically reduced. Now, inventory management. In big factories, there are thousands of raw material stored in the godown or in a warehouse, and naturally, all of them are required at different stages of manufacturing. But locating any specific item in the warehouse is very tedious and time consuming. But with the help of technology called as RFID tag is attached to every item in the inventory, and every RFID tag has a unique identification number. And as and when these items are brought and kept in the warehouse, the data of that item is stored in the cloud, that is in the computer. And therefore, looking at the information available in the computer, we can immediately identify the location and quantity of any item in the warehouse. So inventory management with the help of RFID becomes very, very simple and effective. Now let us move on to very interesting application of IoT, namely maintenance of machines. So this we these days use a very different kind of maintenance strategy. Let us look a little bit in detail. Okay, so before we go into maintenance of machines, we will also talk about use of IoT in safety operations. So using big data and IoT, we can optimize the safety of workers, equipment, and operations in manufacturing plant. IoT is used to track workers' absence, vehicle mishap, machinery damage, and any other kind of accident that may occur. Similarly, in industry, air quality is monitored, temperature is monitored, and also monitoring of robots is also carried out. And ultimately, about the smart building, like our city center mall, there are big structures in various cities in the country. So the automation involves controlling elevators, then lighting of the building, ventilation, air conditioning, fire and flood safety, and security. So all this is done automatically with the help of IoT. Friends, now we talked about the Internet of Things, which is one of the important technology in modern days, which is useful in industrial control and industrial process control as well. Now we talk a little bit about another technology which is useful for industrial automation, and that is the artificial intelligence or machine learning. So what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is a umbrella term, and within that there are two important branches, machine learning and deep learning. So artificial intelligence involves many sub branches like machine learning, deep learning, autonomous vehicles, that is driverless cars, natural language processing, speech recognition, computer vision, data analytics, and so on. Now, what is machine learning? Machine learning is a technology by which we try to train the machine, and after some time that machine starts working like an intelligent person. Like human being in the early childhood learns from its mother, like A for apple, B for bat. Similarly, we try to train the machine, and machine starts working according to our training. So that is called as machine learning. That is, the machine learns from us. So once the machine gets smart and it is fully learned, we do not have to do any programming. So no programming is required. Once the machine gets trained, you can then start using that machine according to your requirement. Now, example or application of artificial intelligence and machine learning is the Google search. So you type any any keyword in the Google, and Google search engine will give you the corresponding information. Similarly, when you go to Amazon and search for some item, immediately a list of other recommended items is shown to you automatically. All this happens because of artificial intelligence. Go to YouTube and play the video of, let us say, Prabhu Devan. Immediately you will get a list of videos which are similar to the video you are watching. So this also is displayed with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So friends, AI and machine learning are so powerful technologies that they are being used in industrial automation nowadays. Another example is from agriculture, where soil quality, weather, weeds, and crop diseases hamper the growth of crop. So you just take nowadays farmers simply take the picture of diseased plant and immediately they get the remedy on their smartphone. So required pesticide, required all other medicines required for that are automatically shown on the screen, and therefore farmer need not go to agriculture department. In the past, he had to travel a long distance and spend a lot of money, but today all that is becoming free of cost. And of course, fraud detection in ATM is also being managed by artificial intelligence. And with the help of artificial intelligence, now you can operate many devices through your voice. For example, you can use Google Assistant, Alexa, Cortana, Siri to control various appliances in your home, or you can also search information on the internet using these voice assistants. So artificial intelligence and machine learning has made it possible to interact with the computer through our voice rather than keyboard and mouse. The same type of revolution is going to happen in industries. At some places, it has already happening. So machine operators and others are now giving instructions to the machine to operate according to their voice. Another example of artificial intelligence and machine learning is Google Map. I need not say much about the map because you have already used it. So when you go to any new city and you want to find out your friend's destination, it is very simple. Put the location in the Google Map and Google Map will guide you throughout your way. So all that is happening because of machine learning. Machine learning and artificial intelligence is also used in video surveillance. So before any accident or any criminal activity takes place, machine learning analyzes the behavior of people in the video and immediately sends the notification to the police department. In the past, police arrived on the scene only when a criminal activity was happened, and there was no way to catch the culprit so easily. But today, at many places, the smart surveillance cameras and the machine learning is able to send notification quite in advance. And the driverless car, like Google's car, I think everybody knows, is a reality today. You sit in the car and just put the destination where you want to go. The car starts moving. You don't have to sit on the steering wheel. Simply sit in the back seat and keep on reading any magazine or keep on listening music. The car will take you to the required destination. So all this is happening because of artificial intelligence and machine learning. There are hundreds of sensors fitted on the car, and all these sensors collect data about the surrounding, and powerful microcontroller inside the vehicle keeps on analyzing and takes the appropriate decision to move the car on the road in a systematic way. And we come to another important part, that is of a robot. Everybody has heard about the Sophia robot. This robot is so intelligent and looks like a human being, and moreover, it has the capability of interacting with people. So you ask any question, she will answer and she will smile. This robot has lot many facilities. It can handshake with you, it can smile at you, it can talk to you, and it can walk and do many other such things. And friends, Now we come to the last part of artificial intelligence and machine learning is this. There is a picture on the screen. It is a photograph. No, it is not a photograph. It is an image of a girl. You would be surprised to know that this is not a photograph of any real girl, real woman. It is a photograph, or it is an image generated by artificial intelligence. You may wonder, I mean, how it is possible? Yes, it is possible. Nowadays, artificial intelligence and machine learning can generate human faces. They can generate any kind of drawing. Even music can be generated by artificial intelligence. So this is not a photograph, it is an image. So that's the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And therefore, these technologies, that is IoT and artificial intelligence, play very, very important role in modern industrial automation. Now, another technology we are going to study now, that is cloud computing. Cloud computing is about software to be put in the data center. There are many data centers throughout the world. Google has its own data center, Amazon, even in India, we have data centers owned by Reliance, Tata. So these are big computing facilities where software is kept centrally. So cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, means everywhere, convenient and on-demand network access to shared pool of computing resources like servers, storage, applications, and services. In short, like we use our mobile phone or we use our computer in college or in office or in our home, and then we have to load lot many software. We have to, let us say, install PowerPoint, Excel, and so on. But nowadays, that is not necessary. You can put all these things on the server in the, let us say, data center. And then through the connectivity using internet, you can access any kind of software from cloud to your computer. So that is the power. Means without purchasing any software, you can simply have an internet connectivity with the cloud, and that software will directly run on your computer. A very simple example is Gmail. So when you open the browser and type google.com, google.com is not installed on your computer. It comes from the cloud. So cloud, the Google has installed this software on the cloud, and from cloud, that data comes to your mobile phone or it comes to your computer, and you can use Gmail for sending email and getting email or whatever. Similarly, WhatsApp, Instagram, all these softwares are installed in the cloud. So friends, in short, cloud computing is concerned with the software which is kept at central place, and then people all around the world actually use using this cloud computing. Now, our computing can provide as a service, as a, like electricity. We do not, I mean, we buy the electricity from the electricity board. Similarly, you can buy or subscribe for software, platform, and infrastructure from the cloud computing. That is the concept. So with this, we move on to another or a technology used in industrial automation, namely Industry 4.0. So before we go with Industry 4.0, let us have a brief look at industrial revolutions. In 1765, a steam engine was invented by James Watt. And immediately thereafter, mechanization started happening using water power or steam power. People started developing machines which could run on steam. Even trains, railways were developed during those times. And after about 100 years or 1 century, electricity was invented in 1870. And thereafter, all manufacturing activities in the industry started happening with the help of electric motors. And again, after another 100 years, a computer and PLCs were invented, and industry started using computer. So computers and PLCs were being used since 1969 in industry, and a lot of automation took place. But today we have a different, or we can say modern automation. So we have a different kind of automation today. Cyber physical system or Internet of Things, or it is also called as industrial Internet of Things, being used in the industry for automation purpose. So IoT is so important. The whole industry is now known as Industry 4.0. So what is Industry 4.0? It is the current trend of automation and data exchange in manufacturing technologies, including cyber physical systems, IoT, and cloud computing. And of course, other technologies are also there, like big data. Now, when we look at Industry 4.0, lot many technologies come to our mind, namely IIoT, cloud computing, big data, cyber security, simulation, autonomous robots, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, and system integration. So all these concepts put together make the pillars of Industry 4.0. Friends, as discussed earlier, there are so many machines that we use in our day-to-day life. Bicycle, car, elevator, smartphone, computer, petrol pump, television, and so on. So we are surrounded with hundreds and hundreds of machines in our life. Now, what is the importance of these machines? Yes. Today, we live in the world where our life is totally dependent on these machines. Suppose you lose your smartphone, you can realize, how uncomfortable you become, because on daily basis or on hourly basis, you are interacting with the smartphone, taking some action. And if that goes down, naturally, your life will become very miserable. Therefore, machines are very important. They have become integral part of human life. When your tires of your car or your vehicle gets punctured, you can imagine what happens. So when a machine fails, you are put to inconvenience. Similarly, in industrial automation, when your machines fail, naturally, a lot of inconvenience happens and cost is involved. It is not surprising to know that as high as 30 to 40% cost, many times 30% cost is involved in maintenance of machines. So it is so huge. So maintenance of machines is a major part of any industrial automation. So far, we were using a routine type of maintenance, but with the help of IoT and machine learning, we are now using predictive maintenance. Many big industries and leading industries are using predictive maintenance. So friends, everything in this world is finite, even our life. Human being also has a finite life, maybe 100 years. And during that 100 years also, he has to do a lot of maintenance of his own. So same thing happens with machines. So in manufacturing, there are hundreds of machines in the industry and they need maintenance. Whether it is a 18th century machine, or it is a modern machine, or whether it is a spacecraft, or whether it is a patient in the hospital. So here we are maintaining the human body, the human machine. And now I want to tell you one interesting story. The picture that you see on the screen is of Pandit Bhimsen Joshi, who was awarded Bharat Ratna. Now this person or a singer had very, I would say, powerful ear, in the sense, as and when his own vehicle was about to fail, he could detect that something is wrong in the machine, and he also could identify the location of that fault. So he was very well known for this kind of ability. So what types of problems we encounter with the machines? Yes, many times we see a flight delay. If you have traveled by plane, you might have encountered delay in flight. This delay many times happens because of engine parts are failed, and then those maintenance engineer go and fix the problem. So during that time, you also get sometimes is under repairs. So ATM machine also fails, and the financial transactions are disrupted. Then wind turbines also fail many times, and then generation of electricity goes down. Our power grids, that is the distribution points that you see nearby your society, there is a circuit breaker and it fails. If that fails, naturally the power is disrupted. The elevators or lifts also fails sometime, and naturally you have to fix the lift before you use it. So failure of elevators also we encounter in our daily life. Then when wheels of the trains fail, naturally there is a derailment and accident may happen. So repairing of these type of trains during derailment is very, very costly. So such type of failures we encounter in our daily life. And of course, there are how IoT and artificial intelligence help us in maintaining these machines effectively. And that technology is called as predictive maintenance. So before we go into detail of predictive maintenance, let us see what kind of maintenance is done in industry. So let us look at evolution of maintenance. In the past, the maintenance was called as reactive, then came preventive, and now we talk about the predictive maintenance. So going from reactive to predictive to preventive to predictive was the evolution of maintenance. Now, what is reactive? Reactive means breakdown maintenance. So as and when machine fails, we try to repair it. We also in our personal life mostly do this kind of maintenance. Many people do not take their vehicle routinely to the workshop, and they keep on driving their vehicles, and as and when their vehicle breaks down, then only they take it to the showroom or workshop. So it is about fixing when equipment is down, and this is a very costly affair because at that time there is a downtime. You are going to the office and suddenly your vehicle breaks down somewhere in the middle. Naturally, it is very convenient and you are late to the office. Then there is a labor problem because when machine is down, a labor cannot do any work. And all of a sudden you have to keep on calling maintenance people who may not be available at that moment of time. So all these things happen when we do the reactive maintenance. So many industries started using preventive maintenance, which is also called as routine maintenance. So it is a scheduled maintenance. In Nashik, Saturday is a day on which industries carry out their scheduled maintenance. So concerned maintenance engineers go to the industry and do the inspection of various machines and replace the certain parts of the machine. Of course, this avoids failures and unscheduled downtimes, but it adds to the operative cost because every Saturday you have to do maintenance and replace parts and do the oiling. So naturally, cost is involved. So cost is very high. And as I told, cost as high as about 30% of the total budget of the industry goes in maintenance. And now comes the analytics prediction part, which is the predictive maintenance. In predictive maintenance, machine learning or artificial intelligence with the help of IoT monitors the machine parameters in real time and then predicts when the machine is going to fail. Predictive maintenance optimizes the balance between corrective and preemptive maintenance. That is, it strikes the balance between our reactive and preventive maintenance. So it is in between that. The parts are replaced just in time as and when they are required, not on routinely basis. And therefore, this minimizes the cost of unscheduled maintenance. And therefore, it maximizes the components' lifespan and profitability of the industry. So why predictive maintenance? As we discussed, predictive maintenance is a popular application of predictive analytics, and it enables businesses in several industries to achieve high asset utilization and savings in operational cost. That is, parts are replaced as and when required, and no routine maintenance is required. Do the maintenance only when the machine, this predictive maintenance predicts that machine is going to fail. So advantages of predictive maintenance: lower maintenance cost, extended equipment life, reduced downtime, improved production, and low risk of exposure. Predictive maintenance and Industry 4.0 are talked together. With this, predictive maintenance enables to monitor the asset health. Asset means any machine, could be machine or any other device. So health of the machine is monitored, optimize the maintenance schedule, gain the real-time alert to operational risk, allows manufacturers to lower service cost, and of course maximize uptime and improve production throughput. Predictive maintenance is useful in many sectors, particularly manufacturing, power plant, railways, aviation, oil and gas industry, and logistics transport. So we have been talking about Industry 4.0 and predictive maintenance. Let us know a little bit more about the fourth industrial revolution, that is Industry 4.0. It is based on interconnectivity using IoT. So Industry 4.0 uses the network to connect various machines and devices, including people in the industry. And it enables a real-time data access. And also the introduction of cyber physical system. Cyber physical system means using computer and the real machine. See, what we see on the computer screen is virtual. Means nothing is real on the computer screen. But still we do a lot of our work on the computer screen, like we handle our Excel sheet, PowerPoint, Word, and so on. Similarly, a lot of digital data is handled through computer, which is called as cyber. And the data is generated or sourced from various machines, which are physical in nature. So physical machines and virtual computer or cyber are put together, and therefore such a system where computers and industrial machines are interconnected is called as cyber physical systems, or CPS. Then Industry 4.0 offers a more comprehensive, interlinked, and holistic approach to manufacturing. Otherwise, people have been using automation for centuries, but most of the work of automation was done in isolation. So small pockets of automation were there. But with the help of Industry 4.0, now we have a very broader view, comprehensive automation, interlinking of machines, and the holistic approach. Industry 4.0 also is concerned about better collaboration among departments, partners, vendors, product, and people. The Industry 4.0 also helps in getting better control and understanding every aspect of operation. And then we also leverage the data to boost productivity, improve processes, and drive the growth. Now the question is, why should we adopt the Industry 4.0? Advanced analytics helps to enhance production capacity and its quality. It also helps in prediction and prevention of defects. The adoption of robotics and automation shortens the production cycle, reduce the time to market, so you can produce your material and take to the market in a very short period of time. And of course, it increases the efficiency of utilization of resources. So there are many advantages of Industry 4.0, and that is why we use that. As discussed earlier, there are so many things connected with the Industry 4.0. Now the technologies related to the Industry 4.0, let us start with the ERP. ERP, that is Enterprise Resource Planning. This is a very broad software which provides business processes management tools that can be used to manage information across the organization, various departments like design department, purchase department, manufacturing department, and so on. And as we know, IoT and IIoT, they are used to interconnect various devices. Another important aspect of the technology related to Industry 4.0 is big data. It refers to large sets of structured and unstructured data that can be compiled, stored, organized, and analyzed to reveal patterns, trends, associations, and opportunities. Every industry generates huge amount of data, and data is sometimes structured and unstructured. For example, putting data into Excel sheet is a structured data, but when you receive email, the information that comes through the email is not structured. Some emails might be small, some may be larger. I mean, it does not have any structure. But big data technology is capable of handling this type of data, and by analyzing and extracting information from the data, you come to know various patterns and trends. So, lot of valuable insight can be derived from the data, and you can make good decisions about your organization, about your college, or any industry where you are working. Big data is about 5 V's: volume, velocity, value, variety, and veracity. Let us try to understand what is meant by these terms. Volume is about how big, the amount of data available in the company. And if that data is very, very huge, we call that as a big data. Now, what is meant by velocity? Velocity is about the speed at which the data is being generated. Now, you can imagine that if you are capturing the data from some high-speed machine, naturally, speed of data will be very high. But if you are trying to capture the temperature of environment throughout the day, that temperature changes very slow. So the amount of data that you will get is very small. So the speed of data flow is going to be very, very small. So when data is coming with very high speed, for example, on Amazon.com, there are billions of people entering on the website. So the data being generated on the Amazon.com has a very high velocity. Every second, megabytes of data is being generated. So velocity is about speed of the data. Now, what is variety? Variety is about the data type. Some data could be in the form of string, some may be integers, some may be float. So variety of data is also there in the industry, and you have to handle that. So big data technology handles the variety as well. The third thing that we want to know is about the veracity. Now, veracity is about the quality and accuracy of data. Sometimes data may be missing, or it could be inaccurate. So in short, veracity refers to the level of trust that we have in the collected data. And the last, value. This refers to the value that big data can pull from the available data. So if big data is able to get a good value, that is, if you are able to make good decisions from the data, then that is a value. So good decisions can be made only when we have huge amount of data, and big data works on that. We have already talked about AI and M2M, and now we talk about a few more things, that is digitization, smart factory, and machine learning. Digitization is a very simple concept to understand. It refers to the process of collecting and converting different types of information into digital format. As we know, computers can handle only digital information. And therefore, any kind of information that is available in the industry has to be ultimately converted into digital form. So digitalization of every process and task in the industry is a must. And of course, smart factory is nothing but the industry or a factory where Industry 4.0 and all other related technologies are being used as part of solution. Machine learning, we have already talked quite in detail. Now let's move on to next slide. Cloud computing also we discussed, and now we talk about the real-time data processing. Real-time data means data has to move instantly. When you press a button, immediately machine has to act. But at many times, data does not come in real time, particularly cloud. So when you send some information to the cloud, and if you expect some result, naturally there is going to be small delay. Sometimes the delay could be in seconds, sometimes it could be in minutes. All that depends the congestion of the route. Now with the technologies like 4G and 5G, real-time data processing has become very possible. But even with that, in many industries, in addition to cloud computing, people use so-called edge computing or fog computing. Take an example of driving a car. So when we talk about driverless car, naturally, the decision is to be made in split of a second. If some pedestrian comes in the way, suddenly one has to apply a brake. So vehicle has to apply a brake and stop immediately in a fraction of a second. Otherwise, there would be accident. So can you imagine that if car is connected to the cloud and all decisions are made, that is data is processed in the cloud and then order is sent to the vehicle, will work? No. Because sending data to cloud, analyzing data in the cloud and getting back commands from the cloud would take at least 1 or 2 seconds. But during that time, a car may hit the pedestrian. So there, as real-time processing is not available, what we do, in addition to cloud computing, we also use edge computing. Edge computing means there is going to be a small computer inside the car itself. So major data processing will be done in the car itself. So that is a concern. Then ecosystem is about many things in the industry need to be put together. So there is an inventory and planning, financials, customer relationship, supply chain management, and manufacturing execution systems, and so on. All these need to be a part of ecosystem. Now, cyber physical system I have already explained, and let us look at a few more advantages of industrial automation, namely increased labor productivity, improved product quality, reduced labor or production cost, then wastage is also reduced, and safety is improved, and of course the profitability of the industry goes high. So these are the advantages of Industry 4.0. Now, types of industrial automation, all of you being from mechanical department, you know the types of industrial automation, particularly process plant automation and manufacturing automation. So different types of IoT technologies are involved in these two types of automation. Let us try to go into detail. Now, process plant automation is about process industries, and of course, a process plant is automated to produce high quality, say, processes or material. More productive has to be, and reliable control of physical process variables. Before we proceed, let us try to understand the concept of HMI. HMI stands for Human Machine Interface. When we drive our car, we have a steering in our hand and a dashboard in front of our eyes. So looking at the dashboard, we come to know the speed at which we are driving, then the amount of petrol available in the car, and so on. So this is the user interface with the car. Similarly, in industry, the operator has to interact with the machine, and the interface that is available is called as human machine interface, or HMI. Mostly it is a graphical interface. There is a touch screen and various icons are shown on the screen, and operator interacts with the machine through this HMI. Okay. Now IoT in industrial automation. So naturally, IoT tries to connect PLCs, robots, actuators, sensors, and many other assets in the industry and to the cloud. So IoT connects all PLC, robot, actuator, sensors to the cloud, and thereby provides efficiency, production, and uptime, and helps to keep the next generation machines. New types of machines can be developed with the help of this kind of structure. The use of IoT in industrial automation is known as IIoT. Now, IIoT involves industrial things in which we have PLC, IPCs, HMI, robots, vision cameras, and sensors. Connectivity is achieved using 4G, 5G, cellular, or Wi-Fi, or Ethernet. And of course, data is collected, it is stored, and it is processed. Then cloud platform is required, as we already discussed. Then there is an analytical dashboard like our car dashboard or a scooter dashboard. There is an analytics dashboard available, which is nothing but a software. So engineers or operators in the industry look at this dashboard, and from there they come to know many information about the working of machines. So analytic dashboard is also part of IIoT, and of course intelligence, that is AI and machine learning, is part of IIoT. Now IIoT in process industry. Many process plants are now looking for better ways and easy ways to quickly reduce cost and improve operations and to comply with the regulatory requirements. Now in process industries, it is mostly about the flow that is monitored, not producing any goods or items. So they want easy way of connecting their devices to the internet. The solution is to add wireless sensors to process plants, then connect these sensors to the internet to create IIoT structure. So what is done in process plants where let us say fluid flow is to be measured or any other parameter is to be measured, then sensors are attached at those locations. Now these sensors are wireless in the sense they transmit data, and which is collected directly by the gateways, and from gateways it is sent to the cloud server. So in this way, all the devices used or machines used in process industry are ultimately connected to the cloud, and in the cloud all decision is taken. So as and when, let us say somewhere some device fails, then immediately cloud program in the cloud will analyze the data and send the notification to the concerned supervisor or maybe maintenance engineer who is looking at that machine. So in this way, machines being connected to the cloud, decisions can be made on regular basis and very quickly. Then IIoT in process industries use data from these sensors, and they interpret and analyze, and which results in saving of energy, improving reliability, and increase the throughput. Previously or in the past, operations and logics in the process control were based on physical equations, physics equations. So mostly physics was used, or mechanical, you can say, formulas. And of course, the knowledge and experience of operator as well as some operating manuals were used for automation. But today, the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning in process control is also used, and it is called as an advanced process control. So when we use AI and ML in process industry, that is called as advanced process control. And intelligence, AI, is used to optimize the operational parameters. Naturally, AI and ML algorithms and of course intelligent models lead to optimization in cost, production, and safety. Process control, when we talk about, is normally implies the process industries. So we talk about chemicals, petrochemicals, oil and mineral, refining, food processing, pharmaceuticals, power generation, and so on. So using advanced control, that is using ML and AI in process control, we have a very different kind of situation as opposed to the manufacturing industry. The term process automation is used synonymously with process control. So when we talk about process control, naturally we talk about process automation as well. Now the advantages of process control are there. And process control in advanced systems is implemented using three important parts, namely DCS, that is distributed control system, programmable logic controller, and supervisory control computer. DCS and PLCs are industrially hardened and fault tolerant. Supervisory computers are not hardened or fault tolerant, but they have a higher computational capability to the control system. So the supervisory computers can, have a lot of data, and therefore proper decision making can be done with the help of supervisory computer. On the contrary, advanced controls, as we talked about ML, using ML and AI, we can do better process control, and that kind of data can be stored either in DCS or supervisory computer. And of course, the basic controls reside in the DCS and PLCs. That is, when machine is being controlled with the help of PLCs and DCS, they reside in the harsh environment, and PLCs can do their work continuously. On the contrary, cloud or maybe supervisory control computers, they are kept at different locations. They need not be industry hardened or fault tolerant. Fault may occur, doesn't matter, because cloud is there, so redundancy is always available. So in this way, use of artificial intelligence and machine learning in cloud or supervisory computers can help us create the advanced process control. Now, on the screen, what you see is a automation pyramid according to ISA 95 model. So automation in industry goes through these 5 levels, level 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. At the very bottom, we have production processes, that is, there are sensors and signals and actuators. In the next level, we talk about sensing and manipulation, that is, PLCs are there. Above the PLC, we have SCADA, and above the SCADA, we have management operations, manufacturing operations management, that is MES. And at the top, we have business planning and logistics, that is ERP. So ERP is at very top level, and the reaction times or the response times we can say about. So response times about level 0 is just in microsecond or millisecond. That is, any machine and any sensor very close to that machine has to work in millisecond or microsecond. When you are driving a car, you have to apply a brake in fraction of second. So application of brake is an actuator. So sensors and actuators work at micro and millisecond response time. PLCs work at seconds response time. Then SCADA can take minutes, and MES can take hours, and of course ERP can take days and months. For example, data is generated, report is printed, and all that. It may take few days. So working of ERP can be carried out in the time of duration and months, days and months. And now, friends, we come to the last slide, which is very, very important. It is about the architecture of IIoT and cloud computing for industrial automation. That is today's topic. So this slide is the last slide, and it is very, very important, and we have to understand thoroughly. Then only we can say that we have mastered the concept of industrial automation using IIoT and, of course, cloud computing. So as discussed throughout the session, Internet of Things and cloud computing, these two broad technologies are integral part of today's Industry 4.0 or industrial automation. So here we have high level IoT architecture for industrial automation. So in the figure, you can see there are 4 layers. So this model has 4 layers. The bottom layer is called as a perception layer. Then we have network layer, we have processing layer, and we have application layer. Remember, here there is no strict hierarchy like our classical automation, industrial automation model. Here a lot of flexibility is there. And because of full connectivity to the cloud, we can actually make the connections as and where we require. So at the perception layer, perception means where sensing is done. At perception level, we have camera, we have robot, we have variety of sensors like a pressure sensor, temperature sensor, vibration sensor, variety of sensors could be there. There could be meters like pressure meter and so on. So all the data which is generated is captured and sent to the next level called as network level. In network level, we have routing, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and many types of transmission like our cellular transmission. So variety of network prototypes are available. Within this, we have HTTP protocol, we have MQTT protocol, we have COAP protocol. So variety of protocols are there to connect the say devices and data to the network layer. So the data gathered from this network layer is forwarded or transmitted to the next level called as processing layer. Here we have cloud. So within the cloud, of course, the cloud resides in the data center, and in the cloud we have variety of services, web services. For example, when you run Google Gmail, you have a mail service, and when you run YouTube, you have a video service. So likewise, variety of services are available in the cloud. And for industrial automation, the services could be about reporting, could be about dashboard, could be about alarming, could be about notification, and so on. So variety of services and platforms are provided in the processing layer. And once all that processing happens, we have the so-called application layer, a smart manufacturing, a smart home, smart city, smart grid, and variety of other applications. Not only industrial applications, but we can also incorporate other sectors like our health sector, agriculture sector, farm sector, and so on. So variety of applications can be built on that. So in Industry 4.0, we talk about the industrial automation, and within industrial automation, we have this flexibility. So we need not bother about where is a PLC, where is a SCADA, and where is that, nothing doing. So capture the data from the sensors take it to the routing, proper routing, and then take it to the cloud and do all kind of processing over there. And then based on that cloud services, we can build variety of applications, including, as I told, smart health, or could be smart manufacturing, a smart city, and so on, even a smart grid. So this is the future, but does not, I mean, that doesn't mean that it is not being used. In fact, it is being used in industry by particularly the leading industries. So all big industries are using this high level architecture. And as I told, it has lot many advantages. There could be, let us say, dozens of plants throughout the country of a big company like Tata. Tata has hundreds or rather dozens of plants spread across the country. But because of this high level architecture, their management at, let us say, Mumbai location is able to visualize each and everything in that plant sitting at one place. So remote control, remote monitoring, and many other things are possible with this kind of architecture. So sky is the limit. And friends, I think this is all about today's session. I appreciate your patient listening to such a complex and diversified subject of industrial automation. So I take an opportunity to say thanks to all of you, and I really liked today to interact all of you. So thank you very much. And now I make the session open for question and answer. Sir, if audience has any question, they can put up their question. It is now discussion session.
Participants, do you have any questions?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
There's not like question, and this is because we know what is automation, and we are not much aware of what is artificial intelligence and the machine learning cloud computing.
Correct.
So you are almost related very nicely about how these things plays a major role in automation. So in that way, this session is very, very useful for us because we are almost in the learning stage about this Industry 4.0 and automation related things.
Okay.
And you have explained very well, sir. And thank you for the wonderful session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Participants, do you have any questions, any doubt?